Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Mine's been pretty good. Went suit shopping today. My brother's getting hitched later this year. So all the groomsmen, myself and him went out and tried on fancy clothes, which is always fun. I didn't actually plan much for tonight, but I have had a task hanging over my head the last couple of days. Yes. Oh, is Sentry Up Australia? Is Sentry Up a person who's here? Or are you speaking to me, 41? Because 41, yes, I am proudly Australian. So a couple of days ago, probably about a week ago now, I pushed a pull request out to a Metasploit library. So Metasploit framework is broken up into a few different components, which we may be going. Oops, might turn my music down a bit so I can focus on what I'm saying. Metasploit is broken up into some libraries, and the main library in Metasploit is called Rex, and Rex has a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Oh, Sentry Up is a thumbs up emote indeed. Yes, right, gotcha. The things you miss out on when you're stuck in text land. So Rex provides a whole bunch of library functionality that pertains to the sort of stuff that Metasploit framework is used for. If you're not familiar with Metasploit, then welcome. I'm glad you're here. Metasploit is free open source software that was started by the community and then acquired by Rapid7, and Rapid7 do a pretty fantastic job of keeping hold of the project and making sure that it stays driven by the community, for the community, and is still very much community driven. And then Rapid7 wraps a whole bunch of commercial paid for stuff around it in terms of a premium user interface. But the heart of their commercial products and also the entirety of the free open source product is free and open source. And what it's used for is it's used for chucking exploits at stuff. So the framework itself is basically a shell, not a computer shell, but it's a framework. It's a skeleton that provides a whole bunch of helper functionality for exploit developers, and then it provides a whole bunch of operational helpers for exploit users. So in terms of when you're engineering exploits, it just provides a bunch of libraries and a bunch of helper functions that help you to construct your exploit that triggers the vulnerable condition in a target bit of software. And then for a user, it provides a whole bunch of, for example, things like payloads. And it means that the exploit engineer doesn't have to worry so much about a payload that will get run on the victim system. Metasploit has a whole bunch of continually evolving mixable and matchable payloads that can be slotted in to the shellcode portion of any given exploit that's within the framework. So all in all, it's a really nice place to go and write your exploits. It's a really nice place to go and get exploits that other people have written in the modules directory. This mess of scripts and whatnot in here is basically user supplied exploits for various bits of software. For example, the trans2open Samba exploit, here it is, whole bunch of Ruby code. But the good thing about Metasploit is it provides helper functionality for when you're writing this, and then it provides a whole bunch of really nice things for when you're using such an exploit. Irregardless, respectively, there's a library called Rex that forms a whole big chunk of the framework and a lot of its value proposition for exploit developers. And I found that there was one particular function in Rex that had what I believed to be a bug. So I filed a pull request. Well, I fixed the bug. It was a 4-character fix. Added 4 characters to a particular file and sent in a pull request to say, hey, I believe this function had a bug. I believe this change addresses the bug. But I think before it gets accepted into the Rex library, that someone, and I kind of was planning on doing it myself, I said that someone should probably go and check all throughout Metasploit framework and probably throughout the other libraries as well to make sure that there's nothing that uses the buggy function in a way that expects the bug to be there. And we'll get into the details of the bug shortly. So I said that should probably be done, but someone went ahead, and I can't remember who it was, but it ended up getting merged. Where are we? Close pull requests. Spoiler. I was going to go through what the bug was, but here it is. Brent, I think that's Brent. Brent went and landed it, so we should probably do the needful tonight and go through and actually make sure that the patch isn't breaking Metasploit. And if it is breaking Metasploit or breaking any modules, we should probably go through and actually supply fixes for each place in which my bug fix is actually breaking things. So I addressed a bug that I believe was there, but when a bit of software or a function has a bug and people have come to rely on that bug as part of how they consume that function, the question then comes up, was it ever a bug, or was it just an accidental nasty feature that people have come to rely on, which is totally fair enough, and it's the subject of much debate once you've kind of got buggy code that people have come to rely on being buggy. It's like, well, do you just not fix it and just kind of say whoops, or do you fix it and then tell people, hey, the way you were consuming it may have been wrong, you should go and take some action? Or do you go through all their code and try as best as possible to fix their use of the code in the way that they're expecting it to work? So anyway, what was the bug? Let's have a bit of a play, because I found this to be quite interesting. Metasploit maintenance tonight. I always have trouble typing with this honking big microphone in front of my face. Let's do a demo. Vim demo.ruby. I can never remember. It always takes me a second when I kind of go into Metasploit mode, because I don't Ruby all too good. It's something that I'm working on. .ruby version. Use 2.3.3. There we go. Hello world. Cool. So say hello world. Is this how you do functions in Ruby? Nope. Devion, good to have you around. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How do you do Ruby functions? Def, blah, blah, blah. Do you need to finish it off with end or something? Yes. Ah, help if I actually called the right function. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got a function now. So the buggy code I thought was quite interesting, and it kind of made me go, that's very interesting. When I do Ruby, actually, when you do any programming, you should be very careful and aware of mutable and immutable variables and the ways in which you can kind of end up stepping on your own crank. But I mean, in Ruby, just do foo equals bar, right? Yeah, it looks good. So let's go and say that hello world takes a string parameter, and we'll say, instead of hello world, we'll just make it say hello, and we're going to put hello, oops, and then the, I think is it hash that s, make these double quotes. So we'll do say hello foo. There we go. Okay, cool. So we've defined a function that takes one string as a parameter and just puts as hello, then the parameter, and that's it. And then we'll declare a variable, a string variable foo, as being equal to bar, And then we'll say hello foo, which comes out as hello bar. That makes sense. Now let's say we wanted to do things like this. Instead of puts hello whatever, let's just go and change S and kind of decorate S with the whole hello thing. So we'll just go ahead and do S equals hello S, bang, and then we'll just go and puts S, right? So this should do basically the same thing as before. Actually, we should probably keep both functions around. So we'll call this say hello to. Right, so these two functions should do pretty much the same thing, right? The old one used to go and print the string hello something, and where that something came from the parameters of the call to the argument, the call to the function. And this one here is just going to go ahead and change S and make it actually decorated with the hello comma and then the bang at the end, and then it's just going to puts S and end. So these functions should pretty much result in the same output. They should both print the same string, right? So we'll run. Actually, we'll do this. We'll run them both one after the other and see if there's any difference. Nope, they both got the same output. That's cool. So we'll go ahead and comment out that first say hello there. We don't need that anymore. So let's just put in some debugging. Let's put debug foo equals foo. We'll do it there, and we'll do it at the end, right? So we're just gonna, it's a bit of water. We're just gonna print out the string, debug, foo currently is equal to the value, whatever foo's value is currently. So we'll do that before and after we do the, we'll do it, actually, let's do it here. Let's do it between the two calls to the two different functions as well. So what we should see is debug foo equals bar. Then we should see this function having put hello bar. And then we should see that foo is still equal to bar because nothing would have changed foo. And then we'll say hello using the second function, which is this one here. And we can see that this one here, it changes the value of S, which is the parameter. Do we expect that by changing the value of S within this function here, that it'll actually change the, kind of the parent's scopes worth of foo? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it depends on your kind of view of the world as to whether this assignment here really should change that there. Actually, because it's an assignment, it might actually mess us up as well. Let's see how we go. Let's see what output this gives us and see if foo changes during the execution of these statements. No, foo didn't change at all. Foo was always equal to bar. Okay, that's cool. Let's, instead of doing that, how do you prepend to a string in Ruby? Okay, I think this is actually a really bad example. Instead of saying hello, let's say welcome. Okay, let's define a new function, which is define. Actually, let's get rid of all this. We don't need this. I stuffed up. Let's start again. Let's define say welcome as taking a string parameter, and let's do puts the string welcome bang and end. So we can get rid of all of this here. And I'm going to, instead of saying hello, we're going to just say welcome. Oop, don't need a colon. Still got bad Python habits. Okay, so debug foo equals bar. That looks fine to me. Foo does indeed equal bar. And then it just prints out bar. Welcome. Instead of saying hello bar, we're doing string appending for a good reason. We'll see in a second. Now let's define say welcome to. It still takes a string parameter. Let's go and decorate that string with some more stuff. Instead of, kind of just putting it this way, let's actually go and decorate s by appending this string here onto the end of s. So we can do s less than welcome. This here is a way of appending strings in Ruby. So if we do foo equals bar, then we do foo less than buzz, then if we put foo, then foo is now bar buzz. So this is the string append syntax. Okay, so we're going to append comma welcome bang onto the end of s, and then we're just going to puts s and end. So we'll copy that little debug thingo there. So we're going to set the value of foo, print the debug what it currently is. We're going to say welcome foo, do the debug stuff again, then we'll say welcome to on foo, and then we'll do the debug stuff one more time. Okay, so if we run this, then we get the debug statement that foo is currently bar, makes sense, bar welcome, and foo is still equal to bar, that makes sense. We get bar welcome, but then foo has now become equal to bar welcome. So what's happened here? When we called this function here, because it was after this function here that the value of foo became mutated, say welcome to does this little append thing, but it does the append to its own argument at kind of the time of the call. So maybe you think it's kind of weird that this went and messed with the value of the parent's value of the variable. I think it's kind of weird, but apparently string and array and list mutability is something I've just got to get used to. The fact that if a function goes ahead and mutates the value of one of its parameters, if the value of the parameter is a mutable data type, and you mutate it in a way that mutation would normally happen in place rather than by creation of a copy of it, you get this weird mutation value behavior. Let's go and do say welcome 3, and let's try and fix this issue so that we can still do this kind of decoration thing without going and actually messing with the value of the parent's variable. So let's define say welcome 3. And by the way, I'm probably totally wrong in my way of explaining this. This is basically something I've just learned recently. So I'm probably mincing my terms greatly. Let's go and create a copy of s. Let's say s2 equals s, right? So we've basically gone ahead and copied the value of the string from the call time argument into this new string called s2. Let's go ahead and mutate s2 willy-nilly, and we can do whatever we want to it. Theoretically, it shouldn't affect s, right? Because we've created a copy. We'll see. So we'll append to s, comma, welcome bang. We're going to, oops, no, we don't want to mutate s, we want to mutate s2. Then we're going to put s2, and we'll end, right? Let's go and change foo back to bar, and do the debug again, right? Actually, let's go and make it now foo2. We'll start with a totally fresh variable. Foo2 equals bar, and then we'll put foo2 equals foo2. And then we'll say welcome 3 on the foo2 string. And then we'll do this debug again, right? So with this code here, what do we expect will happen? Well, this debug line is pretty simple. We should expect to see that foo2 is currently equal to the value bar. Then this code here, we expect will make a copy of the string. It will then append comma welcome bang to the copy, not to the original, but to the copy of the string. It'll then put the copy of the string, and it'll wrap stuff up. So when this last debug line comes along, Just going to turn this microphone down. I'm booming in my ears right now. When this last debug line comes along, what do we think is going to happen? Do we think that foo2 will have become mutated again, or do we think it'll be left intact? Let's see. Run the demo, and we see that foo2 equals bar. We then get that printing happening, but foo2 has changed again. Even though we went and kind of created this copy right here with this little append trick, we've still gone ahead and this function here has gone and wrecked our foo2 in kind of the parent scope of this function. So this kind of gave me some pause for thought, and this is the fix I made, because you can see that the old code here was doing path equals old, and then it was messing with path, but still old, and the parent's version of old was getting trampled on. The solution is to explicitly dupe this string, or to duplicate the string. Ruby's assignment, the equals operator, doesn't create full-blown thick copies of things. It kind of, I guess, dedupes in the background and actually kind of says, okay, I've now just got 2 pointers to the same object in memory, and when either of those references or pointers are used in an in-place modifying fashion, the backing data of both of those variables gets changed, which is a little bit of a trap. I think it's a trap. For me, actually, we shouldn't go and change this function. We'll create a new function. For me, like that there, it's pretty clear that you wanted to create a copy. But nope, Ruby pretty aggressively dedupes stuff. So if you write Ruby code, this also applies in Python, and in fact, in many languages, although I guess with something like C, you're normally a bit more clear about when you're passing by value or passing by reference, and when you pass by reference, you should expect that called functions can totally trample on your data. But in something like Ruby or Python, to me it can be a little unclear sometimes as to the sort of things that a function you're calling could be doing to your data as the caller. And this whole equals not creating a full-blown copy, but just creating a thin copy and still referencing the same backing data, to me was a little bit deceptive. So it was interesting to kind of stumble upon this behavior. So the fix is to have welcome for explicitly duplicate the S object and then assign S2 to be the explicitly duplicated string, and then we can go ahead and we can muck with S2 until the cows come home. And theoretically, now that we've actually explicitly duplicated S, any modification we make via referencing S2 shouldn't cascade and actually muck with S. So one last time, let's have a fresh variable, foo3 equals bar, and we'll do the debug trick again. But we'll print out the value of foo3, and then we'll say welcome for over foo3, and then we'll do the debugging again. And if we run it this time, then we see that foo3 equals bar welcome, and foo3 is still equal to bar. So that was the fix for this function here, this clean path function. It's rex file utils clean path. That's the full-blown path to the function within the library rex. The clean path function. Let's go and expand this out a bit. It basically does a whole bunch of regular expression find and replace for a whole bunch of directory traversal type strings, and goes and kind of gets rid of any. Whoops, knocked the microphone. Sorry if I blew anyone's ears up with that. And it goes and kind of sanitizes the string and gets rid of all the directory traversal sequences. But yeah, they weren't actually duplicating the parameter or the argument at runtime before going and mucking with path using gsubbang, because gsubbang modifies the value in place, which under the old regime was cascading upon the parent or the caller's version of whatever this argument was, this string argument, and was mutating the idea of what parents were doing or having. And given the fact that at the end of this function here, there's a sneaky little return in Ruby. If you don't actually if a Ruby function doesn't have a return value, like an explicit, return whatever, then Ruby will return the last statement, or the return value of the last statement in that function. I think Ruby's got this sneaky thing where it just returns the last thing that it did, basically. So this lonely little path down here is shorthand for return path. So given that this function here actually returns a value, I figured that it probably didn't intend to be mutating the parent's stuff. If there was no return value and it wasn't returning anything, then I'm like, okay, this clean path function just goes and cleans the whole thing in place for the parent, and from then on the parent can consider it to be safe. But considering there's this explicit return down the bottom, I thought that probably wasn't the case. They probably shouldn't have been mutating the parent's variables. So I submitted a sweet patch of 4 characters to go and actually explicitly duplicate that variable. And I did say that someone probably needs to consider if anything is relying on the broken behavior the function currently exhibits. Code that calls cleanPath should consume the return value and should not assume that cleanPath mutates its arguments, i.e. code should not treat a variable as safe if it has simply had cleanPath called upon it. This check didn't get done. I was going to do it, but didn't get around to it, and thought, well, if I don't get around to it before someone else gets around to it, then cool, they can do the hard work. But then this change landed in Rex. So there could very well be code in the framework that assumes that cleanPath does the job in place rather than returning the cleaned path. So I figured tonight we might dive into the code and see if we can find that people are generally using it correctly, in which case there'll be nothing for us to do. We can go and get an early night's sleep. But if we find that people are assuming the broken behavior of this function, then we should probably go and change their code. And I don't know how much there's going to be. If there's a lot, I'm probably just going to suggest that this change get backed out until such time as someone can actually go through and clean up all the called-in code. But yeah, we'll dive in. I'm not really sure what we are going to see when we get into the code, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. If that sounds interesting, if that sounds up your alley, stick around and watch me read a whole bunch of code and decide if I need to change it. If this sounds like something that's not that interesting for you, then I might catch you on Wednesday night. I don't know what we're going to be doing on Wednesday night, but hopefully it's not more Metasploit maintenance. Hopefully it's not PGP. Hopefully there's something interesting happening. But I figured tonight, while I'm giving back to the community with the stream, I may as well also give back to the community with some Metasploit maintenance. So this is just two birds, one stone. And hopefully it's of interest to at least someone. Okay, so Doviorn, are you talking about you're thinking that Ruby might be buggy when you access a large offset of an array, or a large negative offset of array? Isn't that how they do flash hacks? They mess with pointers or something? Maybe. A way that a lot of heap exploits can be used is, you kind of allocate a string on the heap, and then if you can induce memory corruption upon what the string thinks its own length is, in the case of something like a B string, where a B string is actually prefixed with its own length, and if you can memory corrupt the beginning of a B string to make it think it's a super long string, then yes, you can do things like access very large offsets within that string, and you can read memory and write memory based on that. But that requires you first to have actually performed memory corruption to have spiked that length value. Strings don't let you read and write off the end natively. If they do, then that's a string bug. So yeah, maybe there's something similar to that in Ruby, but that's not what I was going to be diving into tonight. I was going to be cleaning up Metasploit a bit. Yeah, so Dovion, you might be interested in looking into how B strings work. B strings aren't null terminated. It's a string data type that's used by COM, automation, and interrupt functions. It's also used all throughout Internet Explorer. Maybe there's also something called maybe I'm thinking of Pascal string type. Pascal stores its strings like this. I think B string is pretty similar to a Pascal style string. Yeah, length prefix. The length of a string can be stored explicitly, for example by prefixing the string with the length as a byte value, a convention used in many Pascal dialects. As a consequence, some people call such a string a Pascal string or P string, like me. Blah 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 blah. So for example, here's a Pascal string stored in a 10 byte buffer. So Frank KEFW is stored as 05123445. Therefore, the string is Frank. This is just trailing garbage. Whereas this length prefix here dictates how long the string is. So in the case of a Pascal style string or a length prefix string, B string is I think an example of a length prefix. A data string and a terminator. Okay, so I think B string has a length prefix and a double null terminator. I think. Yeah, 2 nulls. So B string is an abomination of both styles of string, probably for performance reasons. Whereas Pascal strings are just simply length prefixed. So in the case of a bug like that, you wouldn't be going and blasting the trailing null terminator, although in C-style programs that is what you would do, probably. You'd go and make sure the null terminator is non-null, and then you can read off the end of the string. But in the case of a length prefix style string, you're not spiking a null terminator, you're spiking the length prefix. So hopefully that makes sense. Yes, exactly. Let's dive into Metasploit, hey? Let's go make a copy of Metasploit framework here. And let's go and update it so we have the latest and greatest, so we're bug checking the brand new code. There we go. So what are we up against? We're looking for, was it clean_path? Yeah, clean path. Okay. So it looks like these are the sorts of things that we need to go and check to make sure that they're calling clean path in the way that clean path has been patched to be called. I mean, both ways of calling clean path used to work, because it does explicitly, it's always returned the cleaned path, but as well as returning it, it would also mutate in place. These days, after this patch, it only returns it, it doesn't mutate it in place. So we just need to make sure that no one was relying on this in-place mutation behavior. Yeah, you probably could. The thing is with that if if you want to go and do that, you're on the hook for uploading 4 gigabytes of data, and often HTTPDs will have a size limit for uploaded files of 20 megabytes or something like that. Obviously, if you're someone like Dropbox, you'll go and change that. But if you're Dropbox, then 4 gigabyte JPEGs aren't going to really hurt you anyway. Where it would be interesting is if you could abuse compression. For example, I think there's like a way of doing a PNG bomb compression. I'm going to add compression in so that PNG bomb doesn't get me in on a list. So you might be interested in stuff like this, Dovion. Someone's developed a PNG image that is 5.8 megabytes on disk, but once it's actually rehydrated in memory as a pixel buffer, it takes up about 141 gigabytes, which is a pretty impressive ratio. You can upload 5.8 megabytes and then maybe consume 140 gigs of RAM if the victim machine actually opens that PNG and tries to basically inflate it in memory so as an entire image to work with. If you open this in an image viewer, it'll probably either crash or hang your machine. But Dovion, this might be the sort of stuff that you're interested in. If you're curious, just search PNG bomb compression and there's a whole bunch of stuff about it. Zip bombs and compression bombs are interesting things. Yeah, lol, like you're not on the list already. I know, Jeff, but I want to stay on the lists that are like, yeah, we'll monitor everything you do, but you're not going to Guantanamo Bay. By the way, if you didn't know what either word means, waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay sounds really nice, but I don't want to go there. Alright, so we should probably start checking these files. Probably. Let's redirect the output of this grep to a file called progress.txt. And let's open it up. So now what we can do is look at these files one by one and decide if we need to do anything. Let's start off with registry persistence. Oh, do I not have Control P installed in this Vim? Really? How do I get my Control P working? I'm just going to do it the cheap and nasty way. This is a Docker container, so I can just go and hack a plugin in, and when I tear down the machine, the mess doesn't matter anymore. OJ put me onto Control P. I've known about Control P for a long time, but it wasn't until I saw him doing some Metasploit maintenance or Metasploit development and using this plugin that I've gone, I understand now why it's so useful. I'd used it a couple of times and gone, oh, that's cute, but seeing him use Control P blew my mind. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. So what Control P does is we can be sitting here and going, okay, I want to edit the local/registry persistence file. You go Control P, local/registry, and there it is. Just by typing this, we can edit that file. There it is, we press enter, boom, we're in. That's pretty neat, I reckon. So we're doing clean path. Let's look for clean path. Now we get to read the code and find out if it's using the, or relying upon the buggy behavior. I'm pretty sure this use here is going to be fine because it's actually having to construct a appended string before calling clean path, so clean path wouldn't have a chance to abuse either of these. Let's go to our demo and have a look and see how this would have behaved. Let's go and vim the demo. Where's an example? Welcome 3 is basically how the function used to look. So let's go and use welcome 3 as an example. Get rid of all that. Let's go say welcome 3. Let's go foo equals bar, fizz equals buzz. Let's go and do a debug for both of these. Let's go and say welcome on foo plus fizz. So foo equals bar, fizz equals buzz, bar buzz, welcome, but neither of the two variables were modified. So there is no way that this code could have possibly relied upon the buggy behavior, because clean path in this case never was mutating stuff. So that code's fine. But I think there was another use of clean path in this file, so we should look at that. This one here. Again, clean path was being called with a concatenated appended string as the argument. Therefore, there was no chance for clean path to be mutating stuff. So that is fine. Looks fine. So now we've got Windows local persistence. Again, clean path was being called on some appended stuff. Clean path, some appended stuff. So there's no way that could be relying on the buggy behavior. Looks fine. Run roll 2, and we haven't had to do any work yet. That's cool. VSS persistence. So clean path, concatenation. There's no issues there. Concatenation here. There's no issues. Just gonna start copy pasting. Looks fine. Okay, we're on to an actual exploit, not a local persistency thing. Manage engine search SQLi. It's actually not calling the function. It's just using clean underscore path as a variable name. So, I mean, we should probably just check it really quickly just in case. That's it there. Let's go look for clean path. Yep, that looks fine. That looks fine, fine. None of these are actually function calls. No concerns there. I'm going to stop commenting with... I'd better keep them. I'm just going to keep some notes as to why I think each one looks fine. Just so at the end of the night I can take a quick look through and go, yep, cool. Alrighty, enum OS 10. So this is actually a use of the function, and it's not concatenation, although this chomp here might be creating a copy. We should check to make sure that host is being used as the clean version and that this variable is not considered to be clean from then on. So we'll go and check enum OS 10. And control P is being super slow in this container for some reason. There we go. Oh, OS 10. Yep, that's it there. Let's go on the clean path. Sysinfos, that's automatically a list of the details of a computer via Meterpreter, or has that actually been declared somewhere? Sysinfo, I guess, is probably a magic built-in. Okay. So sysinfo computer has been cleaned and assigned to host, but are there any other uses of sysinfo computer? Star computer. Oops. Make it case insensitive. So there's one other use, but this here, def run host equals. So this host here, could it have possibly been thought of to be clean? Nope. It was just for print status purposes by the looks of it. This def run, yeah, no, we hit the end here, so that's fine. Clean path sysinfo computer, sysinfo, let's go back to the sysinfo computer search. Only one of the recurrents, cool. So then Rex file utils clean path was called on command exec hostname.chomp. I'm guessing command exec is declared as a function. Or is it a magic built-in? Must be a magic built-in. Well, I'm guessing even if it's a magic built-in, it's probably executing a command, so there's no risk there of mutation of the parent's variable being relied upon. I'm pretty happy with that. Do I use Windows? Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jeff. What have I missed here? 10 years since stream, yeah. I know, Nico. I had a really nice break, though, so if that's any consolation to the fact that it's been 10 years since the stream, then it was a nice break indeed. Parks, hey! Good to have you around, dude. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you around. Do I use Windows? Yeah, sometimes. I run IDA from Windows. I run Excel from Windows when I really feel like doing some spreadsheeting and looking at some numbers. That's basically all I use Windows for, except for when I'm doing Windows pwnables or practicing Windows exploitation. I'll use Windows, of course, but apart from chucking some numbers into Excel from time to time or chucking binaries at IDA, I don't use Windows. Better late than on time. Sure, Parks. Hey, Cloud Gamers, good to have you around. For the people who are just joining us, we're trudging through Metasploit source code, looking to see if my bug fix that landed recently, that I didn't actually mean for it to land until someone had done this needful consideration. We're trying to see if this change that I made that got accepted in the Rex library is actually breaking anyone in Metasploit, breaking any modules that probably maybe relied on the old buggy behavior. So I fixed some behavior that I thought was buggy, but I didn't mean for it to actually be accepted into the project until someone had considered if anything is actually relying on the broken behavior. So tonight, because it's been landed in the framework, and we should probably do this activity. So that's what's happening. I reckon this is totally safe because it's the output of a function call. We don't need that anymore. We don't need enum OS 10. Looks fine. It just looks fine. Windows manage persistence exe. Rex file utils. Concatenation's fine. Concatenation here is fine. And concatenation here. So that's all the concatenation stuff. We're on a roll. Smart hash dump. Clean path sysinfo computer. We should probably check to make sure the smart hash dump wasn't relying on this to have mutated the parent's value. I don't know if you can really mutate stuff in the sysinfo list, but probably check. Smart hash dump. Clean path. So this store loot call is actually using the value of host. So that's good. Host was what was returned by clean path. I don't reckon sysinfo computer is being used in a bad way. Oops, got a case insensitivize it. Yep, okay, that's fine. It's fine. It uses a return value. ftp.rb, what have we got? Path equals file.join. That, I reckon it's going to be fine. They're directly using the return value of clean path in a file.join call, so that should be fine. Just as long as arg is not being trusted later on in the code. We should probably check that. server/ftp.rb auxiliary server. Yep. Clean path. So path equals that. Def on client command retrieve takes C and argument. Download request for arg. Blah blah blah. Path equals clean path arg. If not file exists path. Blah blah blah. Is arg used anywhere else? Arg will end. That's just input to the client, that's fine. Yep, arg isn't unsafely used up until the end. Mind you, this here would have used to have cascaded up through this to any consumer of this. I mean, I don't think a consumer of this is then going to trust what it gave as arg, but we should probably check. There's no call to that. How is stuff dispatched by this module? How does this module even work? Def run calls exploit. Is there an exploit? No. How does this module even start up? The run function calls exploit. We've got a whole bunch of defs. On client command user, on client command pass, retrieve, list, size, CWD, initialize. Does it pull in a library that maybe... Maybe that library there manages stuff. Anyway, this file looks relatively okay. It looks like it actually consumes the output of clean path in a sane way. I'm going to call it that anyway. I'm not going to dig too deep into that one. TFTP server, file.join, output directory, rex file utils, clean path, fn. Let's go and check to make sure fn is not being trusted. TF. If anyone else here is in Australia or even Brisbane, sound off in chat with how stupid hot it's been lately. Cheers, man. Thank you, Yakov. It's been stupid hot lately. One day I'm going to learn Linux, do it. I don't really have any need to hack anything, I think, but it's always good to learn in case crap hits the fan. Indeed, I think it's, even if you don't hack anything or you don't need to hack anything, I still think it's a brilliant, fun hobby exercise. Gets the creative juices flowing. Demon Wolf, what's the question you had? Because you always always talk about exploiting things. Shoot. What are my feelings on Let's Encrypt and how it proves you own the domain? Seriously hot in Newcastle. Didn't see you at Sec Talks this week. At the pub, I was there. Jardeth, I was at the pub. Hopefully I'll be there next Thursday as well, so I might see you there. How do I feel about Let's Encrypt and how it proves you own the domain? I haven't had a good enough look at exactly how it checked to do the proof. I know a lot of smart people have undoubtedly looked. Yes, I do know what Let's Encrypt is. For anyone who's not aware, Let's Encrypt is a free CA that has a few differentiating features. First one, it's free. You get free SSL TLS certificates. Second one is the certificates it hands out have a crazy small expiration period. They expire 3 months after you get them. there's a very good reason why Let's Encrypt chose to give out such short-lived certificates, and that's because Let's Encrypt provides really nice automatable certificate request methods, ways by which you can request certificates, and they're so nicely automated that there is no reason for you not to have a cron job do it for you every 2 months, before the 3-month expiry bites you. And because it's so automatable, it does away with the CA's existing methods of things like sending you an email and asking you to click the link, or giving you a phone call in the case of some certain certificates and asking you to verify your identity over the phone as per the phone number that was in the Whois record and all that sort of nonsense. Let's Encrypt basically requires you to be able to do one of a few different things. For example, let's say you want a certificate for your web server. Let's Encrypt will go, okay, let's cryptographically handshake, let's cryptographically establish your identity within the platform. And you have a long-lived key that belongs to you that stuff then happens with. But then the key thing is that they say, all right, go and put this static string somewhere in this very particular place on your web server. It's in a very static path. It's in, I think, .well-known/let's encrypt/something/something. And as long as you can put that file there, then you'll get given a certificate. So of course, some possible attacks would be if you have the ability to upload arbitrary files to arbitrary locations on a web server, then you can probably put arbitrary files in that arbitrary location and get a certificate. But otherwise, it's almost like if you can put files in this very hard, you'd have to put the file in a very specific spot, and it's a spot that no sane web server would normally let people upload files to. People can upload files to the images directory, sure, whatever, who cares. People can upload files to the user display pictures directory, yeah, whatever, who cares. People wouldn't be uploading files to the .well-known directory. If someone can do that, you're probably already in a world of hurt and you're probably compromised to high hell anyway, in which case someone getting SSL certificates for your domain name is probably one of the very least of your concerns. Your web server is probably hosted already. So I think it's a pretty reasonable way of verifying the ownership of a domain. If you can put files on a website, you pretty much should be able to get a certificate for that box. Oh yeah, right, it's Canberra. I was racking my brain going, I didn't think Jardeth was from Brisbane. Didn't think he was from Brisbane. Didn't see him. Didn't think I saw him at the pub. But yeah, okay, gotcha. Outside is the worst. It is aircon. Yes, I don't have aircon down this end of the house. It's up the other end of the house in the lounge room, but it's not down this end of the house in my stinking hot room, sadly. Anyone going to AusCert conference this year? Yeah, I might be, Jeff. I've gone the last couple of years. I may do so. We'll see what's happening closer to the date. Yeah, fair. Dovion will come back to that. AusCert is it's a great conference, but it's an information security conference. It's not really a hacker conference, and to be honest, we don't really kind of need another hacker conference in Australia. We've got a lot of really good ones. AusCert is a very established, very business-friendly conference, and there's a big place for that in Australia as well. Being not a hackercon, it does cost substantially more than a lot of the hackercons, which are, $50 or $100, not for profit. AusCert is a commercial venture, but it is one of a few commercial and business grade and a couple of days by the pool at a nice resort, and very business-friendly type conference as opposed to dirty hackers breaking shit all the time. So it does have its place, but if you're not a business risk kind of person, then if you like hackercons, go to hackercons. There is stuff at AusCert for everyone, but horses for courses. Yeah, nice, very cool. Yeah, I what's the one I normally use? Let's encrypt. I think it's tiny something. It's written in Python. Acme Tiny. There you go. This is the shell script that I normally, not shell script, Python script that I normally use for my Let's Encrypt stuff. Oh crap! I forgot to reconfigure this. Chrome just crashed. I forgot to fix my Docker container. Chrome runs out of memory inside this container right now. All right, give me. You know what? Let's finish this conversation, then I'll start up a new container for Chrome. Step 1: get a new house. Indeed. Are SSL certificates stored on your PC, or just the keys on your PC? When you say PC, do you mean Dovion? Do you mean your server? Because in the case of a web server, the certificate and the key is on the server. Because the web server needs to be able to cough up a copy of its own certificate during the handshake, so that the client can go, aha, so here's your certificate. Is it one that was issued by someone I trust? Yes, it was. Cool, I'm going to use the public part of the key that's embedded in the certificate, and then you need your keys to be able to then accept the communication. So yes, you do need the certificate saved on the server, so that the server can cough it up when people try to visit. Yep, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, Jardet, that panel is always a lot of fun. If people haven't seen it, I should probably I'll get this Chromium up and running now. Chromium, instantiate, temp. Let's go YouTube. I think there's videos of it. Search OzCert speed debate. Yeah, so there you go. I was in the 2016. I was in the 2015 one as well, but I don't think the 2015 one made it up to YouTube. But yeah, I was part of the shenanigans at this event, so go check it out if you want to laugh at what I was doing. Yeah, I think the 2015 one's gone to the ether, which to be honest is probably a good thing. No one needs to see that. But the speed debate's always good fun. Yeah, rip Chrome. Yeah, cool. I was going to say, you'd better not be doing that unrequested Mr. L22 UK. But if you ask people to put a text file with your name there, then obviously you're getting consent and permission. So good stuff. Good stuff. Check out Certbot. Okay, cool. For auto-free SSL, is Certbot? Is that the Let's Encrypt official one? EFF. Okay, so EFF put out Certbot, powered by Let's Encrypt. Is this the official one for Let's Encrypt? Or do they have like a reference client still? Maybe it's the case that Let's Encrypt used to have like a reference client, and then EFF came out with Certbot, and Let's Encrypt have just gone, yeah, that one. That one's now the official one. Very cool. I'll have to check it out. Because yeah, I just wanted a really small Python script for the way I wanted to use it in the past, but Certbot I'll have to check out. I didn't want the software getting its dirty fingers into my Nginx config or my Apache config. I wanted to manage that manually and kind of script it the way that I like to manage my certificates. Hence the use of a very small Python script. But I'll check out Certbot when I need to rejig my automation next. Yeah, gotcha. Good idea. Where on your Linux laptop are the certificates stored? Okay, so Dovion, are you serving a website from your Linux laptop? I like how you run Chrome and Docker. So do I. Big props to Jess Fraz for documenting how to do it. Without this guide, I would have not been able to do it. And I'm a big fan of running Chrome in Docker. If you haven't checked out Jess Fraser's stuff, do so. She has amazing stuff, and she's got a lot of really good resources on how to Docker on the desktop. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Jess's stuff. Check it out. Where on your laptop? Linux laptop. Okay, so on a Linux laptop, the public certificates for a bunch of CAs will be stored there, but not certificates for websites. Unless you have a website that you're running from your laptop, in which case I'm not sure where you keep your website certificates. Fastest talking dude in conference, indeed. Fate Nation, indeed. What do you use to show the Twitch chat in the terminal? Ursi, which, funnily enough, Jess's guide has a bit about Dockerizing Ursi, the best IRC client. And here it is. That's what I use. And this is actually very similar to the Docker container that I run it in. Ursi is also running inside Docker. So there you go. Yes, thanks Parks. My setup is in the channel description, indeed. Although I'm not sure if I actually call out Ursi in there. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Yeah, nice. I'm not a fan of my certificate stuff mucking with my web config. I'd rather keep that on lockdown myself. Okay, yeah, cool. Certificates are fun but painful. Why do you run Chrome in Docker? I can answer that in a second. Let me just quickly show Doviorn. Yeah, do Yakov. I'm a huge fan of Ursi. I even connect to all my Slacks using Ursi. I'm the jerk who insists on IRC bridges being enabled. Certificates. Just inside Docker, if I go ls/etc/ssl/certificates or certs, that's them there. These are all the root certificate. If you were to look at, for example, CNNIC, I'm guessing that's the China NIC. There's a file there. If we go and less it, it's a base64 encoded certificate. We should be able to do OpenSSL text no out on that file. Whoop, no, is it OpenSSL x509? Do you have to feed in the PEM file? There we go. So if you do something like this, OpenSSL x509 text no out, and then actually feed to its stood in the PEM file, you can go and read all the attributes to do with the Chinese root CA, which is delightfully trusted by the standard set of Linux SSL root CA collection of certificates. You can see the validity, it expires in 2027, unless it's, I guess, revoked before then. And by revoked, I mean vendors ripping it out of their trust stores. And here you can read some info to do with the key of the that corresponds to the certificate. Here's some more stuff. It's an SSL CA, it's an SMIME CA, it's an object signing CA, which probably means maybe it's a code, maybe for code signing. I'm not 100% sure. You can see that it is a CA, blah 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 blah. So there you go. That's how you actually interrogate the certificates that come with your Linux machine. You go and dig them out of Etsy SSL certs or wherever your distribution happens to put them on disk. Look for the PEM files. Feed them into OpenSSL x509 text no out and read to your heart's content. What have I done now? Yes, yes, that is exactly me, and I basically get a lot of crap for it as well, but I'm okay with it. I'll come back to that in a second. Hey, how's it going, Lay NNS? Welcome. There really isn't. There is. Why do I run Chrome in Docker? Chrome is sandboxed anyway. You're right, Chrome is sandboxed. For my day-to-day use, it's a manageability thing. And it is a second layer of security. It's a very paranoid second layer. That's easier ways to hack me than having a fresh Chrome bug and a fresh Chrome Sandbox escape bug and a fresh Docker escape bug. But hey, it was really easy to get set up with. It was also a really nice way for me to learn how to Dockerize desktop applications. It was probably the first one I put the time into doing. If you don't want to learn how to Dockerize desktop apps, you can just go and use Jess Fraz's Docker image off the Docker Hub. But I went and actually recreated her work. One of the biggest reason right now why I'm doing it is because I stuffed up Debian Chromium, not Chromium Flash. So I went and did the bump from Debian stable to Debian testing, which I've done for the last couple of years. But I didn't realize that Debian testing has a super out-of-date Chromium. Oh. Testing is probably now due to the freeze actually tracking an up-to-date Chromium. A few weeks ago it wasn't. A few weeks ago the testing Chromium was horribly out of date, probably had a bunch of security bugs. It had a bunch of non-security bugs which started to annoy me, which is what inspired me to just go, I'm going to look into this bug. Oh, apparently it was patched like 2 months ago. Why is my Chromium 2 months out of date? Why is the Debian testing Chromium 2 months out of date? That really sucks. I'm not going to be able to roll back my machine to stable. It's stuck on testing. I don't want to reinstall it. Fuck it, I'll just run Chromium in Docker for the next little while so that I can actually track Debian stable and its version of Chromium. So the reason I've switched to it is because of that. Last and certainly not least reason why I run Chromium in Docker is because on stream I like to be able to do things like if the open file dialog or the save file dialog accidentally opens up, then it doesn't go and show all my personal files. Actually, in this case, with this Docker, it probably will. So I probably shouldn't open. But in the other Chromium, the one that crashed a minute ago, it wouldn't be showing my files. But I'll have to be very careful tonight not to trigger the open file dialog. That's another reason why, to keep my personal stuff from popping up on stream. Year of Linux on the desktop, indeed. LayNS, we just went through this. That's 2 people tonight who like my IRC client, which makes me happy. It is indeed URSI. Can I run Docker on Windows Linux subsystem? I'm not sure. Should look into that. Should look into that indeed. That was last year. So let's see if it works, Cap. I'm guessing that was about the file open stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. Check out URSI indeed, LayNS. It's, in fact, Jesse's got a guide here on how to Dockerize it, but it's a super slick text-based IRC client that I spend way too much of my time in talking shit on Slack. So check it out. All right, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to grab some water. I'm not going to be able to fix this Chromium. I'll just have to try not to open files. And then when I come back, let's keep on working through. How far are we through this list? Ah, we're almost at the end. Wicked, cool. And so far we haven't found anything that was consuming clean path in a buggy way. So once we get to the end of this here, I guess I should probably, for completeness, just drop a note on that pull request that I made that was accepted saying, hey, I did the needful, went back through. It doesn't look like anything uses the buggy behavior. But if there's nothing in here that requires a change, we should probably go through the other Rex libraries as well and quickly grep them to make sure they're not calling this clean path function. But yeah, looks like we actually had no work cut out for us tonight, which is, if you ask me, a pretty damn good night. My Windows Debian version has none of these problems, Jardeth. IRC is so old it is, but I am also so old, and it reminds me of simpler times. Why don't you do a Vuln Hub or over the wire? Yeah, super efficient tights. I will. Welcome, by the way. I don't think I've caught you here before, so hope you're enjoying this. I often do that sort of stuff, but it's been a slow start to the year for me, and I haven't had much of a chance to dig through and pick out a Vuln Hub image or pick out I think Over the Wire don't let people stream their stuff. Maybe. I did hear a rumor of that the other day, so I'll have to check before I stream Over the Wire to make sure that they let me do it. Otherwise, yeah, I totally will. I'll do that. I'll do Ponables, all sorts of stuff. If there's any in particular that you want to see, let me know and I'll do them on stream. Otherwise, I'll pick them out at random. But that is on the cards for this year indeed. In fact, last year we were doing a bunch of CTF binary Ponables. So we'll totally be doing more actual computer hacking. Twitch uses it as it's lightweight and can scale well. Is that... Oh, IRC. Yeah, gotcha. Indeed, Parks, indeed. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be back. If you need to grab a glass of water or an adult beverage or hit the head or do whatever you need to do, now is the time to do it. And hopefully see you on the other side of this break. Alrighty, and we're back, and I've got a glass of water so I can not totally dry my mouth out with way too much ranting and rambling and nonsense. I was going to take a bit of a breather, but there was just way too much cool stuff happening in chat that I wanted to chime in and give my 2 cents worth. Fish and Tights, welcome. Hope you're enjoying this. Been studying it for a few years, been studying for a while, hoping to take OSCP in the next couple of years. Yeah, do it. OSCP is awesome. OSCP is well and truly worth doing. And I recommend if you, the thing is, OSCP, a lot of people don't realize the difference between OSCP and OSCE. And I'm going to really kind of challenge you and say you should do OSCE as well, or you should look forward to doing it one day in the future. OSCP is geared towards pen testers and people who want to break networks and break systems and pivot between computers and break into a whole bunch of different computers. And OSCP is totally worth doing for anyone in InfoSec. And I dare say anyone who probably is in IT and is a sysadmin or is a developer. I think anyone in a technical capacity in IT would get a lot out of OSCP, and I recommend it to anyone who's keen. For what you get out of it as well, it is super cheap. There's training courses that last 2 or 3 days that cost 2 or 3 times more than OSCP, so totally worth doing. It is a huge learning curve indeed, but don't put off OSCP for too long. I'm not saying book it tomorrow, but I know a lot of people who kept on putting it off, saying that they really want to learn Python, they really want to learn this, they really want to learn that, they want to learn how to do this, they want to learn how to do that before they do OSCP. And that to an extent is probably a good idea, and there are probably some things you should get familiar with before tackling OSCP. But honestly, the best way to get good at what you need for OSCP is to just do OSCP. There's nothing like actually getting into the material and the labs to really accelerate your learning. It'll be hard learning. It'll be a lot of late nights of whacking your head against the desk, not knowing how to get further, but you will progress so much more in those nights of frustration than you will with weeks or months of attempting to prepare. So prepare for it, but don't put it off for too long. Do it. You came to it really late. You're 29. That's not late. There's InfoSec's always changing. If you can, quote unquote, catch up, so to speak, and get to a place where you've got a handle on what's going on, and more importantly, got a handle on what you want to specialize in, you've got so much time to find that specialty and just nail it, and become one of the leaders kind of in that field. Because InfoSec is not narrow; it is so broad. There's so many different facets to it, and so many different fields to really find your home in. There's network security, there's application security, there's exploit development, there's network intelligence kind of stuff, like building tools that monitor networks and machine learning, something (threat intelligence). There's the more managerial stuff. There's the risk acceptance and the risk understanding kind of stuff. I can't think of any more off the top of my head right now, but there's just so much to do. I'm in the application security side of things, and in my spare time on the exploit development side of things. Speaking of exploit dev, going back to OSCP, I think a lot of people, more than they would think they would be ready for OSCE, or would be able to do really well at OSCE if they gave it a shot. OSCE is not just a harder OSCP. It's a different OSCP. It's for different people. It's for a different specialty. OSCP is for pen testers. OSCE is for exploit engineers. OSCE deals so much more with memory corruption bugs and memory corruption exploitation, web application exploitation, and not simply like OSCP. I shouldn't say simply. OSCP, a lot of what you'll be doing is scanning, enumerating, identifying applications, searching Google for exploits, getting them off ExploitDB, modifying them to do what you want, and running them, and getting shells, and looting, and pivoting, and traversing laterally, and escalating on the boxes you get on, developing footholds, and exploring the network further. And that's what a pen tester does, whereas what an exploit engineer does is they get given a bug, or they get told to go and find a bug through fuzzing or through analysis of the software. And it's like, okay, cool, you've got a trigger for the bug, you can trigger a crash, now turn that into a shell and build an exploit. So OSCE is much more about, here's a vulnerable application, develop a general purpose exploit. OSCP is, here is a whole entire environment, find software that you can exploit it, and move around. So much different disciplines. First time you've seen a stream like this, found a fair few YouTube videos, but they're not the same as a live stream. I agree. If you're keen on YouTube videos, Live Overflow does some really good ones, and I think Live Overflow has done a few streams as well. The good thing about a YouTube video is it's done and dusted in 30 minutes, but I've got a strong sense for how much preparation someone like Live Overflow would have done to prepare a 30-minute video. They would have sat there for hours and hours and researched and scripted and recorded and edited and touched it up and fixed it, and then had a final product that's 20 minutes long, punchy, teaches you something, and you can watch it while you eat dinner. Like it's by the time you finish your bowl of soup or whatever you're having for dinner, the video's done and you can go about life. Whereas a live stream is, hey, if you've got 3 hours to spare, come and hang out and ask questions, and we'll keep it dynamic. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm making it up as I go. So it's different. But I appreciate that you're enjoying it. And I agree, Parks. Everything you try and do makes you learn something new as you encounter weird stuff. Indeed. And it's so easy to go to a conference and look at everyone who's presenting and go, wow, everyone's so smart. There's so much to learn. It's hard to remember that everyone who's presenting is basically just really good at not just necessarily, but they're potentially only just really good in their field. It's so easy to see this amorphous blob of speakers at a conference and go, wow, everyone knows everything about everything and I know nothing. It helps when you realize that there is just so much breadth to our industry and so many things to learn, that if you want to be a jack of all trades, you can do your best, but you're not going to be good at too many of them because there's so many to be good at. It's when you specialize in something that really tickles your fancy that you've got the opportunity to do, I think, wonderful things. And the only way you can find what you love is to try more stuff. And the more stuff you try, the more of a holistic understanding you get of the whole industry. Really, it's probably like any industry, any technical industry is big and has breadth, and you've got to find your specialty. Yes, everyone, check out The Colonial with a 3 and a 1. Everyone here should be following OJ on Twitch. Twitch.tv/TheColonial. OJ does amazing stuff. So if you're here and you have not yet gone to /TheColonial and pressed follow, do it now. And he's hosting me as well, which is really nice. Just follow OJ. He does really cool stuff. As well as that, Kane. I think it's just KXYNE. Yes, Kane. If you don't follow Kane and you're tuned in right now, go straight to twitch.tv/KXYNE and hit the follow button and give Kane some love. Both OJ and Kane do really good security streams. Kane is a bit newer. He's just getting into it. He's done a couple of streams. OJ's been going for quite a while now. But both of those fantastic people, give them a follow because they do really good stuff. In fact, you know what? The links are getting pasted in chat. And I'm still catching up on chat, so these will go to the bottom of chat. Just go there now. Hit follow. Don't think, just do. It's fun indeed. You get to see the range of questions I deal with and heckle me for typos. Indeed, I don't know if people are appreciating the chat and the back and forth. I mean, I don't think that I've got that much cool stuff to share, but I'm always happy to answer questions and discuss things like Let's Encrypt and OSCP and whatnot. And I hope it's of use to at least someone, and I'm not just shouting at my own echo chamber. What else have we got? Yes, I'm normally Wednesday, Sunday nights. OJ is fortnightly on Tuesdays. Nailed it. Good stuff, Parks. I'm still doing twice weekly. Although I'm thinking later this year I might have to drop down to once weekly, just because I'm running out of topics, really. Hence me just kind of going through and fixing Metasploit, or seeing if Metasploit needs fixing. So we'll see. We'll see. I said that you should get an adult beverage, and then I'd get some water. I'm having a dry night tonight. It's hot. Water's good. Water's what my body craves. OSCP is awesome indeed. Does the server send a different public key to every different computer SSL? No. So the server sends its own certificate, and baked into the certificate is its public key, and that public key then gets used as part of the handshake. Although, in terms of different... No, it's not a different public key, it's the same public key each time, but in terms of different keys in general, perfect forward secrecy does result in different keys each time. Perfect forward secrecy, TLS. Perfect forward secrecy basically generates a random key for each connection, rather than simply using the key baked into the certificate. So PFS will result in a different key each time, and it's really good because it means that if someone coughed the NSA, basically logs every single HTTPS or TLS connection and just saves it to disk, and then later on steals the web server's private key, they can decrypt everything, unless it's using perfect forward secrecy. Because under perfect forward secrecy, the way in which the client and the server establish that random key the key cannot be deduced by a man in the middle, even if the man in the middle knows the server's private key, using big prime numbers and math, and using something called Diffie-Hellman. I know that Diffie-Hellman is one way to implement perfect forward secrecy. There's probably others, and to be honest, if you're curious about the ways in which perfect forward secrecy work, get a hold of Wasabi. Wasabi's, I think, got a pretty good understanding of how TLS, perfect forward secrecy, can be implemented in modern implementations of TLS. So that will result in a different key for each connection. Do you learn stuff step by step doing OSCP? Yes. To an extent, like the material, the material you get from OffSec, which consists of a PDF, a really big PDF, and a bunch of videos, does tackle a whole bunch of topics step by step, topic by topic. And so that's if you read the material and watch the videos. Although not everything that you need to pop every box in the lab is in that material. You do need to go and do some of your own legwork, your own research to get through some of the boxes. But the material they give you will get you into a bunch of boxes, which will be enough to kind of give you your exploitation legs and your pen testing legs to then equip you to be able to do your own research and find how to get into the rest of the boxes. So yes, there is some component by which you learn stuff step by step, then eventually you're left to your own devices. Yeah, Jarded, just get out there and do cool stuff. And honestly, the best way to get good at OSCP is to do OSCP. Can't you change clean path to fix the bug and then write a program to auto-check all the functions? Probably. If you want to write the program to auto-check all the functions, I'll be super curious and super keen to see it. But I'm personally preferring to do grep and check. It's not so many that it's unrealistic to do it. And writing a program that would automatically and intelligently search for every single use of clean path and then decide as to whether it was doing it in a way that relied on the old bug is a hard problem to solve. It's kind of like there's an XKCD for everything. XKCD, forest bird, tasks. I think it's this one. Some problems are surprisingly easy to solve. Some problems are surprisingly hard to solve. And personally, I put the writing a static analyzer that can intelligently look at code and make decisions as to whether the code was being used in a buggy way or not. I personally put that in the hard problem basket. So that's where I kind of stand on that one. Good idea. I just don't think it's really useful in this case, or possible for me to do it in this case. Yes, indeed, Nico, I agree. I should probably just scream through this and catch up. No worries, Fish and Tights. Hope it helped. Interesting. Dovion, you should dig it up and see if it still crashes. If it does still crash, then you should write and see if it's a vulnerable, exploitable bug. Nice work, Jada. Surprised advanced nuclear physics lesson. Thanks, HackerCons, indeed. Oh, Jeff, good luck, indeed. Yeah, with that attitude, you shouldn't expect to pass, but I reckon you can do it. And even if you don't do it, as far as OSCP goes, getting in there and seeing what the exam looks like so that you know what you need to do to be able to pass it next time can be handy. But hey, I'm sure weirder things have happened, and I'm sure you're more than capable of passing, so good luck. Am I hacking right now, Legendary? No, we're mostly just bullshitting. I've been meaning to get back to checking this Metasploit code for stuff, but really I'm just slowly catching up through chat and trying to give all of the very, very good questions people are asking the time and courtesy they deserve. So right now, no, just bullshit. What's that IRC SRV? Hopefully this answers the question. Jardeth, indeed, I am using Ursi for Twitch chat. Irk.chat.twitch.tv. I think it is. Like this thing I'm doing here is actually the Twitch chat. Except I just was scrolled way up to the top, and it was probably, you're probably seeing a whole bunch of questions that you couldn't see in your copy of the chat. I was just catching up, so I was scrolling up and down. So it is. I think it is irc.chat.twitch.tv. I think that's what I connect to. It's the Twitch chat for this channel. Justin Simmons' favorite IRC client, occasional gig. Yep. We mostly just spend most of the stream looking at IRC, and sometimes we actually break some stuff. Isn't the public key used to create a private key? No. No, it's not, because if that was the case, then if you gave your public key to anyone, they'd be able to derive your private key, which would mean that you're in for a world of hurt. Both keys are opposite. Maybe it is the opposite, yeah. Maybe the private key is created and the public key kind of falls out. I always kind of pictured it as the two keys are generated in concert, like at the same time. There's a process by which two keys are born. I don't know if the chicken necessarily comes before the egg and lays it. In this case, the chicken would be the private key and the egg would be the public key. I don't know how the maths works, but I do know that a particular key pair is basically generated at once, and the private key corresponds to the public key corresponds to the private key, but I don't know if that corresponding necessarily means that one created the other. Yes, Vulnhub indeed, +1 to Vulnhub. My landed's 1211 now, rip. Rip. Living in the Netherlands. Oh, cool, welcome, Legendary. I'm going to be getting my master's degree in cybersecurity. Do you think I should just spend my money on certs instead? Depends what you want to do. A lot of people will say you don't need a degree, you don't need a bachelor's, you don't need a master's to be a hacker or to work in IT or to work in computer security. If you haven't studied before, I don't know how master. Do you need to get your bachelor's before you're doing your master's? Like if you've got your bachelor's, probably just do. Like if you're doing your master's just to get a computer security job and you've already got your bachelor's, maybe just do certs, not just certs, but also self-guided, self-paced learning. But if you're interested in academia for the sake of academia, I've got a lot of respect for academia for the sake of academia. It doesn't necessarily translate into jobs, but if you want to do formal study, I applaud and encourage that with all my heart. So it's up to you and why you want to do it and what you want to do. If you're really just doing the masters in cybersecurity just to get a cyber job, you probably don't need to. But if you're doing it because you love the idea of doing a master's degree, do a master's degree. I don't do much Wi-Fi stuff, Zugazy, but probably, especially if it's a weak WPA2 pre-shared key, then you can probably do an offline attack against it, ? I'm not really sure. I probably shouldn't speak to wireless hacking. That's another example of one of those specialties that really lights you fire, then you should really get into wireless, because there's a lot to do there. I'm far and beyond not a wireless person. Hack the planet meme, indeed. Okay, yep, cool. Gotcha, Parks. Gotcha. Already got a bachelor's in computer science. Be more marketable. I'd say to be marketable, maybe certificates, and definitely certificates plus self-guided research. You know, create a lab, do the learning that pertains to the sort of domain that you want to work in. Read the articles, be a part of the community, go to hackathons, watch hackathon videos on YouTube, network. I'd say that if you're looking to be marketable, those are probably more marketable. If I was hiring and someone had a really kick-ass master's degree, and then someone else had their OSCP, their OSCE, networked, knew a bunch of people, had been to a bunch of cons, demonstrated a passion, and demonstrated that they had done some of their own work. For example, submitted a Metasploit. If it was an AppSec job and they submitted a Metasploit module, be like, okay, you're super plugged into the community and you do stuff in your own time when you don't have assignment deadlines motivating you to do it. I would see that as being more marketable. That's me personally. I'm sure everyone will have their own opinion on that. Yeah, DEF CON videos less than 3 indeed. As well as a lot of this kind of, you know, quote unquote smaller US conferences, DerbyCon, stuff like that. Some of the names of some of the ones I really appreciate escape me right now. But yeah, DEF CON is good, but I think some of the other ones are also really good, if not better. Alright, I'm going to quickly finish this off and then I might head to bed. If there's any other questions, queries, concerns, use my name in chat, it'll get my attention. Otherwise, I'm just going to plow through these. Let's check TFTP. Have we done TFTP? So, okay, we're doing it right now. So where is clean path used? So we're cleaning FN. So we're doing def save output tr. Okay, so we're doing clean path fn, which I'm guessing means file name, but then we're using the return value of clean path in a file.join and then assigning the output of the file.join back to fn. So there's no way in which fn could have possibly been thought to have already been cleaned. So this here is code that is safe. So we'll delete that buffer. That also looks fine because it uses the return value. Studapi fs file.rb. So we're doing clean path on $1 or path. Let's go. Come on, where's my control P? Oh, wrong file. Control P screwed me there. Studapi fs file.rb. Yep. So I reckon this is going to be fine. We've got def file.base name, path equals A0, path equals tilde, go and pull something out, assign it to $1 or path if there was no thing at the end. Then we clean it. And this here is part of a return value. And then there's no further use of $1 or path. So I don't think there's any way in which we could have been thought to have been actually cleaning. No, because path is that, which may be a copy, or it may be a lazy copy, which may be another mutation problem. Oh, this mutation thing's really got me worried now. But if it's a bug, it's not a bug that I introduced. I'm pretty sure that this return value here is returning the caller of this. None of these could have been thought to have been cleaned by subsequent code, so this here is fine. It uses the return value. Domain list gen.ruby dest equals clean path logs plus that. Okay, it uses concatenation, so we're fine with that one. Okay, the ARP scanner. So where is clean? Clean's getting done on concatenation, so that couldn't have possibly have been thought to have been cleaning anything. We're not checking to see if this code's buggy, we're just checking to make sure I didn't introduce a bug when I modified the library. So there's concatenation here, that's fine. Clean path, there's concatenation there, so that's fine. Event manager. Concatenations, that's fine. Concatenations, that's fine. Maybe someone did do this check before they landed the pull request and found out that there actually was no buggy use. Concatenations, that's fine. Concatenations, that's fine. That looks alright. And we've got concatenation here as well. And concatenation there as well. So actually no one was using the buggy version of the function. So there was actually no cleanup to do. So I was just being paranoid when I was saying that someone should check. Yes, I did know that, Dovion. That's the classic karma attack that the Wi-Fi Pineapple implements. Does it spit out? I know it spits out Wi-Fi networks it's connected to that have no password. It probably does spit it out for Wi-Fi passwords, even if where those Wi-Fi passwords did have Wi-Fi hotspots did have passwords. Yeah, that's the karma attack. That sucks, that one. Yes, +1, big +1 to that, and big +1 to the RIP Barnes. For anyone who doesn't know, Jack Barnaby, Barnaby Jack, or Barnes, was a fantastic security researcher, did a lot of really cool stuff, did a lot of real world hacking, like he hacked ATMs, and towards the end of his life was working on embedded medical devices and had done some really cool research in that area, and then tragically passed away, and we lost one of the good ones. If you haven't seen Barnes's jackpotting talk, go and watch Barnes's jackpotting talk. In fact, I'm going to paste a link because everyone should watch it. Barnaby jackpotting. So there's this one. There's also one at DEF CON. Barnaby Jack ATM. Yeah, just go and watch Barnes's ATM talks. They're really good. What kind of exploits do I write? Tonight we're just doing, I'm not sure if you're asking me, tonight we're just doing Metasploit maintenance, but otherwise I do a lot of exploits on stream for CTF pwnables and intentionally vulnerable software. From time to time I do it for other software, mostly open source stuff. Last year did the a Metasploit bug where Metasploit Pro, I had a straight up pre-auth remote code execution on Metasploit Pro, Metasploit Community, Metasploit Express, because their updates were introducing static keys. So that was a fun exploit, and that exploit actually got merged into Metasploit Framework, so there's actually a Metasploit Framework exploit for Metasploit Pro, which I'm very proud of. So that's the kind of stuff I do for non hack me pwnable type software. I've also got a couple of bugs coming out soon. Do I have exploits for them? No, I haven't actually written exploits yet, but I've got a couple of bugs that are hopefully coming out soon. Because I'm expecting that they're either going to be patched, or in the case of one particular open source project who has dragged its feet with patching the bug, the 90-day disclosure timeline is coming up soon, so I'll be probably dropping that as ODE in a couple of weeks, because people really should know that this particular open source software has a couple of really interesting bugs. They should probably take mitigating action of their own due to the fact that the project hasn't patched yet. Tonight I'm actually doing Ruby, but I often do use Python 2. My personal projects these days tend to be Python 3, but in terms of CTF pwnables and stuff, Python 2, because the pwnTools library that I use for exploit development in a CTF setting is a Python 2 library. If someone makes a program that says it can't be hacked, does it Speedo have a go at it? Yeah, sometimes. Not sometimes. Mostly, not really, because I just kind of pick the targets. I don't pick targets to make a point or tease anyone. I do it because it's either interesting for me, or it's software that I use and that I care about, that I want to be more secure, or software that I know my friends use that I want to be more secure because I care about them and their security. I don't really do it to tease. I used to do that, but nothing good really comes of that. Like, yes, our little echo chamber on Twitter can have its little this program got... I mean, Metasploit was a little bit like that. Metasploit I knew was going to make a splash because it's funny that there's a Metasploit module that hacks Metasploit. But there was a bigger reason to doing that. It certainly wasn't to poke fun at Rapid7. I know a couple of the guys that work at Rapid7. I'm good friends with them. I know OJ quite well, who contracts to Rapid7 quite often, and by no means did I mean to disparage their code or their work. It was more so, I was hoping a wake-up call for the industry, because I fear that a lot of penetration testers and researchers can kind of cowboy their work a little bit, which to me is way more egregious than software developers making mistakes, because we should know better. We should assume the worst. We should know how to do better than we do. So I was hoping to have a wake-up call for people who just go, oh wow, maybe my Metasploit Pro shouldn't be listening to the whole world. Maybe I should be very careful about the way in which I run my own infrastructure. Because it would suck if I got hacked while hacking my customer, and my customer got hacked because I was doing a pen test for them. Like, that would suck, and we can do better. So I was hoping it was more of a wake-up call for users of Metasploit to be more careful about how they do their things. They should make a Metasploit in Python. Yeah, go join hash Metasploit on Freenode and let them know. I'm sure that I'll be sitting there popcorning while the merits of Ruby versus Python are discussed. In fact, I think there's somewhere in the Metasploit repo, I think there's like a huge PDF, like a beginner's guide or a getting started guide. I think in there they discuss why they chose Ruby over Python, because Metasploit used to be written in Perl, and then a rewrite happened to put it into Ruby. And I think they did consider doing Python, but Ruby won, and there's reasoning in there if you're curious. Would you learn something like this? What do you mean, price yak, in terms of this? What do you mean? Because really most of this is just me bullshitting and trying to see if there's a problem with Metasploit. But just do stuff. OSCP, if you're wanting like a formal course to learn from, the OSCP course is a really good way to learn how to be a pen tester. There's a lot of good stuff in that course. The live lab that you get access to is full of vulnerable boxes that you can break into and learn by doing. I'd say OSCP is one of the better places to go. Otherwise, just learn by doing. Download some machines off somewhere like VulnHub and break into them. Download crappy software and audit it and see if you can find bugs in it. Kind of depends whether you want to get into. I do a lot of the exploit dev, software security kind of stuff. If you want to get more into the breaking into networks, then set up a lab at home full of Windows VMs that are joined to a domain and figure out how to move between machines as an attacker. Learn by doing, I reckon. There's good books out there. I can't think of general pen testing ones off the top of my head. If you want a really good book for software security, The Art of Software Security Assessment is really good. It's you could, if you threw this book at someone, you could kill them. I think it's over 1,000 pages long, and it weighs a ton. What's the page count of this bad boy? 1,200 pages. This is a great, like, you just flick through this book. There's so much good stuff in here, mostly to do with entirely to do with application and software security. Otherwise, OSCP and VulnHub and some other stuff. Yeah, get into it, Dovion. Get into it. Out of respect for Barnes, I'm not going to get too far into it. His girlfriend, no, his sister. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to get into Barnes's personal life. But Barnes's sister, who out of anyone is the person who has the right to publicly speak as to what was going on with Barnes, had a really good. What's Barnaby Jack sister? Amberly. She had a really good blog post about Barnes. Which, if there's any question as to the kind of story of his death, her post would be. Actually, it looks like she's got a whole blog about her brother. I'll have to read this. No, I can't find the post I'm thinking of, but she had a really good post that discussed a lot of the circumstances around his death. Either way, it was horribly, horribly tragic, and makes me very sad. I don't think he was murdered, no. If you're asking me. Where did I learn to bullshit? Mostly IRC and Twitter, and a little bit of Slack, and a misspent youth on IRC. And then misspent 20-something on Twitter and Slack. This is horribly confusing and great to me. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Kaimed. We really haven't gotten much done tonight. It's been a slow start to the year for me. We're mostly just trudging through this. I'm surprised people are getting stuff out of it. Really, I'm just mostly bullshitting tonight. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. Volnhub is indeed a good place to learn. Is there a cert for that, for bullshitting? Yeah, I'll let you know what the deal is and what the exam is like. Basically, the exam is going to be to... I got nothing. They are computers indeed. I'm not sure what else they would have been, but yes, they are bog standard computers. I think a lot of them run things like embedded XP. Alright, I'm gonna... Do we need to go through all the Rex library? I'm gonna quickly jump over to Metasploit and see if there's anything else that would warrant looking into for this bug, or use of the buggy code. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna call it a night. GitHub Metasploit. Do we need to download all the Rex libraries and go through those? Would any of the Rex libraries possibly be using... Oh, there's so many of them. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat. It's probably not totally effective, but I'm doing it anyway. Opt Metasploit. No. Work. No. Twitch / Metasploit maintenance. Metasploit. Bundle install. Let's do a bundle install and probably update bundler, I guess. Let's do a bundle install and then see if we can go and just basically trudge through the gems in /.rbenv and see if they've basically got the Ruby code for all the libraries, and that should be a good enough job of checking Rex. That'll make me happy that I didn't break too much or break anything. Yeah, so it looks like some of the Rex libraries get pulled in by bundle. Hopefully it's enough of them to make me happy that I haven't broken stuff. While it's chugging along, RBEnv. Where are the gems kept? I'll probably just do it here actually. grep fr clean path dot. So that's where the function is defined. And that's where the function was defined in an older version of the library. Looks like there's no other Rex gems or other gems that Metasploit pulls in. Has that bundle install finished? No, we'll let that bundle install finish and then redo the grep. But otherwise, looks like the grep tells us that there is actually no use by things like the Rex library of the function, which satisfies me that nothing got broke in that patch I did. Which is good because I was losing sleep that I'd broken stuff, or even worse, made stuff vulnerable by basically omitting the use of clean path on something. That would have been fun. So let's redo that grep. So Rex core defines it, that's fine. Rack doesn't matter. Rex, an old version of Rex core defines. I reckon we're out of the woods. I reckon that my pull request. Can I just do this? I'm not logged in since the browser crashed on me. So it was in Rex core pull requests closed. I reckon this change that I made here seems to have had no adverse impacts, and maybe Rapid7 actually checked it before they landed it to make sure that this had been done, and I just went and doubled their work. But that's at least I can sleep. Does every programmer vape because everyone coding on Twitch does? Lol. Probably. I know a lot of programmers, and I know that at least a few of them vape, so probably. Parks, is that for the course? Yeah, Bitcoin indeed. Very cool. Nice work, Crashy. Alright, any questions, queries, concerns on the bullshitting that I did tonight, or on the very... It wasn't half-assed. I did think a pretty thorough check to make sure that I hadn't introduced a bug there. But is that clear as to what I was looking for and why I was doing it? And are there any questions, queries, concerns before I go and lie under my ceiling fan and try to sleep and die of heat? Rip. Before I go. Or should we just agree to reconvene on Wednesday night and do... I don't know. We'll find something to do then. I might pull down a Vuln Hub machine. Actually, I haven't done Geckham's machine yet. If there's any people from Sec Talks who have done Geckham's who would like to see me do Geckham's, then maybe we can do that. I'll reach out to Geckham before I do to make sure he's cool with that. But maybe we'll come for the Gibson hacking stay for the chat. That might just have to be like the tagline for the channel, maybe. Do I use Nessus? No, I don't use Nessus. I don't use scanners. I don't have any. I'm not a pen tester. I don't look after too much in the way of architecture infrastructure. I do from time to time, but that's mostly someone else's problem. I'm focused on application security, and even then I don't use web scanners to black box the stuff. I prefer to work with the developers on the bugs that have been identified and teach kind of the actual the root cause of the bugs, rather than play whack-a-bug. I like to proliferate the knowledge. But it's something that's on my list of things to look at. I do need to learn how to scan better, how to fuzz better, and how to automate what I do. For the time being, I prefer to look at the code, or actually black box the application myself and work with the developers. hopefully that answered that. No, I don't have Python scripts for Nessus. It's going to be harder on Wednesday. Really? Alright. I had a ceiling fan and like a pedestal fan, but just before Christmas the pedestal fan decided that it didn't like being on basically 24/7 and it died, so that sucked. Oh, 42 in storms, that sounds horrible. Hopefully the storms bring some relief, Jeff. Charted soon. Alright everyone, thank you very much for dropping by and keeping me company while I procrastinated about actually doing this check and spent most of the night bullshitting. I hope it was of some value. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope to see you again on Wednesday. Rapid7 indeed do make an expose. They do. So I hope to see everyone on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll actually have some stuff worth watching by then. Thank you very much for dropping by. Hope you are well. I hope you stay well. And until next time, peace out.